Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, the Knight of Justice, here again with another video. And y'all have been requesting this throughout months in my comment section, and it's about time he gets his own video. This character has been featured in, as known across all time within video games at this point, and famously known as the Killer of Gods. People in the Versus community have been pitting him against beings such as Goku, Superman, Hulk, and even once the God of Thunder, Thor. And there are also many who tend to downplay the likes of this character known as Kratos, saying he's like athlete level, maybe city level, mountain level, continental, etc. And I'm willing to understand where they be coming from because they don't seem to understand the game's scaling or usage or just factoring game mechanics as an excuse to downplay and weaken Kratos. But never fear, I'm here today to explain just how powerful Kratos is and his scaling. I'm just going to tell you all right now that this will be a two-part video. We'll be discussing Kratos from the Greek pantheon. Then the next video, which you guys will most likely be looking forward to, is Kratos from the Norse pantheon. But before we scale anything, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Edgar, my friend Cyber, Carnifax, and also Kratos and some other people who helped me out with writing this script. They have been a key factor in compounding all of these feats together to give the description of how powerful Kratos is, all as a whole. So, I'd like to give a shout out to them on this video, and they'll be shouted out in the next video. Well, you already know they have a part in this video, so you know they have a part in the next video. Anyway, I dedicate this video to them. Let's keep defending the name of Kratos, the Ghost of Sparta. But, without the way, let's get into the video. Kratos is the main protagonist in the God of War series. Born in Sparta, Kratos was a respected soldier and general during the time. As a general, Kratos won battles through brutal but effective tactics. However, his pride and hunger for power grew greater with every victory, despite his wife pleading Kratos, and Kratos vowed to continue his bloody conquest until the glory of Sparta is known throughout the world, spending time with his family only when he was able to return from home to Sparta. Unfortunately, Kratos and his armies finally met their match when they encountered the barbarian tribes from the east, led by Kratos' old enemy. Outnumbered and overpowered, the Spartans quickly found themselves on the losing end of the battle, with Kratos himself left at the mercy of his arch-enemy from the past, the barbarian king, who swore vengeance against Kratos for his advertently caused the death of his father. In desperation, Kratos called out Ares, the god of war, pleading his assistance. In exchange for victory, Kratos would align himself to be basically Ares' herald, and exchange his life and his servitude just to get victory against the battlefield. Ares accepted this offer and proceeded to kill all of his enemies and the barbarians, including the villain, giving Kratos the Blaze of Chaos as a sign of his loyalty. For a time, Kratos served Ares loyal and ravaged many villages and slaughtered innocent people, and spreading chaos in his name. Under the God of War's influence, Kratos came to unruly and ruthless guidance and lost many of his sanity and humanity of it. One day, during a raid on a village of the Athenian followers, Ares secretly transported his wife and child to a nearby temple. Ignoring the village oracle warning Kratos to enter that temple, he slaughtered everybody inside of it, and with his eyes filled with rage, including his wife and child, whom he believed were still in Sparta. Ares justified this as a means of making Kratos into the perfect warrior and swaying away his mortal attachments, thereby holding him as a perfect warrior. At what he has done to his wife and child, Kratos left the bodies of his family to be burned within the temple, ultimately reconstituting himself as being announcing the God of War. The oracles cursed Kratos and forced him to forever wear the ashes of his dead family on his skin, giving him the title as the Ghost of Sparta. Now, our scaling for Kratos as well as the verse begins in the game known as God of War Ascension. In the beginning of the game, there's a war between the primordial gods, and these primordial gods are known as Uranus, Aurea, Ceto, and Chaos. The two main ones known for scaling at this point are Uranus and Ceto. Ceto hit Uranus so hard that we see the universe/heavens come into existence. Uranus is depicted as the primordial, known as the heavens. And before I continue on, universe and heavens are used interchangeable in this verse, so when you're referring to like heavens, they're referring to the universe. We also had director discussions basically explaining how the primordial war went down, confirming that they did create the universe, and before anyone says, well, this is not true, the new God War retconned this and they did not create the universe, etc., but this is however incorrect. Ariel, one of the people that worked in the God of War games, confirmed that she worked on the new God of War game for 2 years before she left the studio, and the game was in development for 5 years. And she was there for 2 of those years. So all the stories up at that point she had a hand in making. Yet despite this, she still confirms that the Primordials created the universe, even though she had well finished her work, and she had finished working on the new God of War game by that time. We also had the lead writer of the new game of God of War, Matthew Safas, states that each myth's interpretation are valid, despite what would seem contradictions. Now, let's get into the primordial scaling. We have statements that are factoring that the Titans and the gods are confirmed to be scaled to the primordials. Since the primordials were replaced by the Titan Kronos overthrew his father Uranus, and Zeus overthrew Kronos, making the Olympians take over in the place of the Titans. And since at the end of God of War 3, Kratos scales to Zeus and he killed Zeus, so you're getting the idea of the long cycle between, son and father killing each other. Either way, the primordials were replaced by the Titans, and Kronos killed Uranus, and the cycle goes on to Zeus and then Kratos. We also have artwork depicting the primordials, and Uranus is named the creator of the heavens. Gyges stated in the comment multiple times that her father Uranus gave life to the universe. Seeing as he is the one whose body will spawn all galaxies in the universe, this statement is taken literal. We also have statements of the sky, universe, or heavens that is depicted as being described as being infinite. As I said before, heavens, sky, or universe are used interchangeably, meaning the same thing. Uranus was also stated to have brought the primordial realm known as chaos, basically the void. Helios and Nyx in God of War Ascension. Helios banished Nyx, the primordial gods of night, just to bring about the morning. The narrator even tells us that on the edge of Aegean, where the Great God Helios banished Nyx from the night sky. She is even stated to have the same role in the series as well as in the myths of Greek mythology. So they are equivalent in a sense. The mirror dimension, guarded by a statue of Nyx, is where it is eternal night. This shows that if Nyx could, it would be night forever. So Helios truly is forced her to leave. Whether he does it outright by fighting her or not, it is even more impressive if he can make her retreat without even having to engage in a fight against her. It doesn't really matter since she is not willingly leaving. Furthermore, this parallel dimension belonging to Nyx is another cosmic level feat, since the same size as the normal Greek dimension is described to be parallel. Kronos has the power of time, and who is responsible for time itself, which was also hinted at in God of War 2, since he was the owner of the Sands of Time. You also have several other statements about Kronos overthrowing Uranus from the 2 timeline statements that came from the godofwar.com website, which Ascension came out and the Facebook official page just months before Ascension was released. Cory Barlow, who was the creative director of God of War 2 and the Norse games, confirms here on the God of War 2 documentary that Kronos did overthrow Zeus. We also have the involvement of Pandora's Box, where the conversation with the God of War 3 directors talk primarily about the evils that were trapped inside Pandora's box. This is important because it talks about how the evils within Pandora's box shaped reality since the beginning. He refers Kronos overthrowing his father Uranus as one thing that is evil of hatred. And through this hatred it caused it to happen, starting the cycle of father and son violence. The whole thing of Kronos killing Uranus, Zeus killing Kronos, and Kronos killing Zeus. So this is another confirmation that Kronos did in fact kill Uranus. And since the Primordials waged war against each other due to the evils like hatred and rage, it is once more clear scaling for the Greek gods. Since the evils have been rampaging since before the beginning of time, shaping reality, and yet Zeus was able to capture and trap those same evils. Moving on, Hyperion, Kronos' brother, forged a spear inside a star. This said spear was said to be able to hold the weight of the entire cosmos. And this spear made by Hyperion pales in comparison to the blade of Olympus in terms of power. We also know the spear is nowhere near the power of the blade of Olympus because Hyperion was the one of the titans that was casually defeated by Zeus when he used the blade of Olympus to send them to Tartarus during the war between the titans and the Olympians. Now let's get into the scaling of the Olympians. Ares is in the first God War, created pocket dimensions that appear to have countless stars and a swirling galaxy in the background. Whether the visuals are taken literal or they are illusions is up for you to decide, but it isn't up to the point we're at hand. The point is, Ares apparently knows what galaxies are and what they look like. Further supplementing that the Greek world/realms do in fact have literal deep space and galaxies within them. This will also hold a statement about what the writers stated before about the Primordials war filled the cosmos with all galaxies. We also have statements in the God of War 1 website where it says Zeus and the Olympians wrestled control of the universe away from the Titans. We also have in God of War 2 website also has the earlier version of creation of the story. It tells about Chaos and Nyx being the start of the universe. Overall, this creation story was retconned by Uranus, stayed in the cosmos that and also an Ascension intro where the Primordials had their war. It shows that Uranus and Chaos were always thought to be universal beings. There's also the statement that says that Uranus and Gaia ruled the universe at one point. We also have the statement of the world pillar, and it states that it was stated that the world pillar was destroyed. It would have destroyed the living world into the underworld, and it would have destroyed all of creation. Hades' wife, Persephone, who was the one who was behind the plan of destroying the world pillar, says herself that all that came before will end, referring to the world pillar destruction. So literally, everything that came before the world pillar existence will be destroyed. Everything that will revert back to chaos, as she says later in the game. What Persephone means by everything reverting to chaos is that the things would have been reduced back to the void. Because as Athena states, chaos was a primordial realm that Uranus brought to order. So there was a primordial void named Chaos, and Chaos as the primordial goddess. Though it is up for debate they may be the same being or separate entities, but it would just be a fragment part of the former. So this even more substantiates that where the world pillar were to be destroyed, all of the Greek universe would have been crushed down and reverted back into the void. Some of you may not know that Kratos' blades of chaos are literally linked to the primordial void of chaos. So it's not just a fancy name put up on the blades. The blades are literally titled that way on purpose. For further confirmation that the world pillar was holding up not just the living world, but the cosmos as well. As we know, Atlas is holding up the heavens, and Atlas was forced to bear the burden of the world pillar after it was dismantled. For those who are not aware of this or don't know, the word heavens, or of course the word used simultaneously with universe or cosmos, as it is mostly used in the God of War series. Now moving on to the Underworld. For those who don't know, the Underworld is described to be infinite twice, both in text and by verbal statements. It's even more impressive when it's called immeasurable. The Underworld / Tartarus is also stated to be stretched out as far as the eye can see. Seeing that it is a flat land without a horizon, you can see for an indefinite distance within enough light. Speaking of which, stars can be seen in the background of the Underworld. And this concept art right here shows that the Underworld / Tartarus extends past the edge of the living world on top of it. So no, it's not bound by size of the living world. The living world has a finite size since it has been described to have an edge by the Underworld, and the Underworld is said to be infinite and immeasurable. To put an exchangeable mark on this, here is a recent Facebook conversation between Cory Barlow and the creative director of God of War 2 and the Norse games, confirming that the Underworld was indeed infinite in size. So he explains that the Underworld is infinite in size by virtue of the fact that Hades was meant to rule it forever, meaning it needs to be infinite in size to fit all the souls that would have been traveling from all eternity. Now here comes the part you guys have been waiting for. Just how powerful is Kratos from the Greek pantheon? Well, going off of feats, statements, narrative, and scaling, it is likely to say that Kratos at his peak in the Greek pantheon games should at least be universal plus to low multiversal. But let's go into some other feats and scaling that I haven't touched in yet, or recap some feats to scale Kratos to. Kratos, as you all know in God of War Ascension, was able to defeat the Furies who created a dimension with a sea of storms. He was also able to fight and overpower Kronos who created time, and there are numerous statements of him defeating his father Uranus. And in the War of the Primordials, Uranus gave life to the universe. Not to mention, Kratos is famous for in the God of War 3 for killing many of the other gods of the Greek pantheon, of the Olympian pantheon, such as Poseidon, Helios, and Hades. Kratos also scales Zeus in their fight at the end of God of War 3, where he was able to fight on par with Zeus, even with the blade of Olympus. Zeus scales above the other titans, those including Kronos and Atlas. Atlas is said to be the strongest titan, which include Hyperion, who had a weapon and is stated to have buried the weight of the heavens, or the cosmos. And Atlas, who was also a threat to all of creation, would also include the Siphoken, which is an infinite-sized realm, and creation would encompass this. Zeus is also strong enough to wrestle control of the universe from Kronos, who himself created time and defeated his father Uranus, who gave life to the universe. Kratos, with the power of hope, was able to defeat fierce Zeus, a stronger version of Zeus. Note, Zeus' soul was emerged from his body, turned pitch black from the fear that infused Zeus. Fierce Zeus, this much stronger Zeus, was stronger than Kratos. He was able to drain all of Kratos' power and magical items, get rid of all of Kratos' items, and seemingly killing him. However, deeper than Kratos was the power stronger than anything fierce Zeus had. The ultimate good to counter the ultimate evil. It was the true power of Pandora's box, stronger than any mortal or divine weapon, even the blade of Olympus.
or even the flames of Olympus, which destroy anything it touches. This will likely revert to the power of hope, which Kratos had when he fought against Zeus. Kratos was able to will himself back to life with this power, and Kratos' overpowered fears Zeus. The power of hope just puts Kratos on a whole different level than the likes of fears Zeus. So, going off of feat, statement, scaling, and narrative, Kratos from the Greek pantheon would be at least universal plus 2 low multiversal, likely multiversal via the power of hope. Now, how fast is Kratos? When people scale Kratos, they tend to just apply the game mechanics and say that he's not as fast as the game put him or allows him to be. And people uses to downplay his speed by saying he's like sub or hypersonic, or that he's not even light speed. But there are enough feats throughout the sets of the games to put him into like high into light speed, probably infinite speed. For starters, the warriors of Zeus have a move that is stated to be the speed of light, or light speed in the case. Kratos is therefore light speed, going off of God of War Ascension, since he's just roughly as fast as they are. The Underworld is stated to be infinite or immeasurable in size. The Silicon is confirmed in the Underworld and it has an infinite distance. Hermes, you could probably say he is pseudo-omnipresent in a sense, since his task is to deliver dreams to the mortals across the world and bring every soul down to the Underworld. Hermes is also fast enough to dodge the light from Helios, which is infinitely fast since it illuminates the Underworld in a finite amount of time. We also have confirmation on Hermes' speed, and Kratos has managed to be able to catch Hermes in combat and acquire his boots. He's also traversed the Silicon, a realm of infinite size. He also dodges Helios' light, which is bright enough to bright the entire infinite realm, or just scale him off of Hermes. He's able to dodge this light. So, going off of these feats, which I don't know why people like downplay Kratos' speed, but going off these feats, he should at least be massively faster than light to infinite in speed. But that's been the video for today. Kratos from the Greek pantheon should at least be universal plus 2 low multiversal, and in speed he should at least be massively faster than light or give him infinite speed. And with that out of the way, I will also be covering Kratos from the Norse pantheon, and then also scaling him and clearing some misconception on what people have on his power. So be on the lookout for that. But with that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.